What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about LTCN and BCHG in this video. We're going over this video at the request of Flower Child and many of you out there. Actually, there's a few of you that have requested this. Some requesting, multiple people requesting where I think the highs will be, considering like private placements and all that kind of stuff. And then Mark Black Fox, you had a specific request as well. So we're going to go over all those things and more hopefully in this video. Hit that like button and subscribe if it sounds good to you. Let's get started. So we're sitting at about $10.05 on LTCN right now. If we look at this on a weekly basis, you kind of see this like from a low to a high perspective. We're right at the 0.5, finding support at the 0.5, and then rejecting the 382 almost always leads to a 61869 retracement. That would make sense for a few reasons, right? Previous area of resistance right here. It's kind of in the middle of this price action zone right here, pulling back to where your breakout point was at the very beginning down here. Like there's a lot of reasons to go down there. Normally, I would have no problem calling for that. But the thing is, from this current price down to that zone, that's a minimum of like a 30% drop for LTCN, right? LTC itself, it would have to drop, at least like 10%, right? And a 10% move, it could happen. I'm not saying it's impossible for it to move back down to about 60 bucks, or I'm sorry, 53 bucks. It could happen, 54 bucks maybe. But it's not what I would expect. I don't expect LTC to drop that low, right? And if that happens, I have a hard time seeing LTCN go all the way down here. Perhaps it does hold this 0.5 area. It's kind of a less common thing to do, but I often say I don't expect to find significance on the 0.5, but when you do, you get significant moves. So perhaps we will get a significant move out of this. But the weekly RSI, the daily RSI, the 3-hour RSI, they all look so bad, man. They all really do look bad. So I'm having a hard time being bullish, but I'm also at the exact same time, I'm having a hard time being bearish, given the underlying asset as a thought here. But this might be a good point to transition into another part of this video. I'm going to cover some short-term analysis real quick, and then we'll go over someone's comments here. But in the short term, I suppose, looking at it the way it is, I would hope you find support somewhere in this area. Maybe you get some kind of double bottom. Maybe you pull off this slightly higher low, but I would hope it comes in soon. I wouldn't like to see you go lower. If you do go lower than this price, if you get a day that closes below 950, likely you won't stop until at least like $7, or if not lower. So I would like to see you hold this area of support. Let's see, from a low point here, keep messing around, low point to a high point. You're right in that deep retracement zone. It's kind of a make it or break it point. You get below, I said 950, but really if you get below 977, it could be all over. But 950, because you could go below the 886 and perhaps you form some kind of double bottom, and then you move up. Double bottoms do happen. You could move down here, but I would just not like to see multiple days closing below 977. I wouldn't like to see any day closing below 950. If it does, you're likely going to go to $7 or lower. That's just my interpretation there. So if not, if you do hold this area, the place that you're likely going to move to, I don't have your low, so I don't feel comfortable giving that. Yeah, it'd probably be like 17 to 1860, something like that. That'd be your next move up. You really could hold this area too, man. That's your 069 right there. You could. It's possible. Okay, but now let's see. Hold on. I want to go over something Mark was saying here. Let me get it if I can. Where are we at? Nope, not that one. Not that one. Oh, maybe this one. I don't know. Okay, here it is. Mark Black Fox said, could you please release a video on your Grayscale private placement thoughts? Fundamentally, some of these trusts are pushing crypto winter NAV, so they're like getting to NAV price. I think the multiple layers of private placement is crushing the premiums, NAV, and upside. Yeah, I think so. Fundamentally, we are going to see 2 to 3 more private releases in the next 12 months. So this is what Mark's saying. I don't know this to be true myself, but I trust Mark knows his stuff, right? He's not just some internet troll. At least I don't think he is. But I mean, we've had a good back and forth for a while now. I trust Mark, but maybe look in the comments of this video. I'm sure there will be other people who also can back that information up. But he's saying fundamentally we are going to see 2 to 3 more private releases over the next 12 months. Every release sinks the trust. And maybe, and again, I don't know if he's saying that like he knows that, or is he saying that just based off what we've seen over the past year? I don't know personally, because I haven't looked into this information myself, but something to look into. When you compare these to the native crypto, the price declines are extreme. Just curious on your insights and thoughts for this cycle. So 100%. Back in February, when Ethan was pissed about the private placements, when a lot of you were scared, pissed, wondering what it meant, I feel like I could hear the frustrations there. I get it, right? But I wasn't that worried about it. And I know I said then, and I would say now even, I don't think that would have had too much of an impact on the LTCN and the BCHG trusts. Other trusts where the market price was way higher, there was a higher premium versus the NAV price, it probably affected those more, okay, those private sales. But for BCHG and LTCN, I don't think it would have affected it as much. That's just my personal thoughts. And even if most of the interest was in the BCHG and LTCN sales, I still don't think that it would affect it too much because they have lower premiums. But if there are within the next 12 months, right, and I would think that we have at least 6 months left, I would say, right? Let me see, because we're in September, October, November, December, January, February, March. No, I think 7 months left of bull market to potentially 13 months left of bull market, right? If in that time we see another private placement, we've already had, I think, 2 since February, or if we see in that time 2 more coming out, I absolutely think it's going to hurt the performance for your breakout. I absolutely do think that's going to happen, and that's something to be pissed about. And that's something that, as an investor, and I'm not 100% sure, but I swear I've noticed the Bitcoin Cash Trust having less Bitcoin Cashes per share than instead of more. And you would think it would have more. You would think with these private placements they're putting more Bitcoin Cash in their share. I don't want to be spreading misinformation. I'm not 100% sure on that, but let me just see. Because I remember vaguely what the numbers were once upon a time. And I feel like it's less, man. Like I feel like it was at 8.6 at one point. Like I remember, you could check my videos back in February to back it up. I swear I checked. If not, I don't know which video, I couldn't tell you that, but I swear it was like 8.6 something at one point. Maybe it was 8.06 and I'm misremembering it. If I'm misremembering it, I feel bad for what I'm about to say. But if they're taking private placement funds and they're not adding to their trust, like I don't know, like what are they doing? But I don't know. I'm not 100% on that. That's just a thought that I just ran with, but something that I believe to have noticed, whether that's right or not. I wonder if it was 8.06 or if it was 8.6. Because if it was 8.06, okay, they have added to the trust. But if it's 8.6 and now it's at 8.49, they've taken away from the trust, even with private placement sales coming into it. Or maybe they haven't sold the trust, just with the private placement sales, there's more shares diluting it. That could be part of it too. Anyways, I'm getting caught up in something here. All I'm trying to say, guys, is yes, I think it'll hurt your cycle's performance. Yes, I absolutely believe LTCN and BCHG already are condemned to not seeing as high of prices as they could have probably seen if these private placements weren't in place, and maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like they're putting too much into the funds one way or another, right? With these private placements, that's what you would like to see. I don't know what the point of them is, right? If it's to give a leg up to wealthy investors, right? To be able to buy at market price or buy at NAV price and sell at market price. I don't know what the point of it is, but it definitely, in my opinion, does add selling pressure every single time these unlocks happen, every single time. Because right now you've already locked another one in over the past month. You've got, because it was in August, right? So in February, and like the beginning of next year, whenever that last private placement sale ended, 6 months from then, there will be another kind of pressure of selling. And 6 months from now, 7 months from now, I would expect LTCN is probably around its all-time high. I know I have it drawn to where it's like 12 months from now, but that's not what I expect. I would expect that it probably is around, its all-time high, if not past it. But that could with this next private placement round going into effect, that could result in like so much selling that's the end of the cycle. I don't know. I really don't know, man. I'm kind of going off the top of my head here. Let's just kind of try to dial it back and bring it back. What I'm trying to say is I think LTCN will see new all-time highs. I just don't know if it's appropriate maybe to consider these targets anymore. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It is, it is a fib thing for a reason, right? It's a fib extensions for a reason, right? News be damned. But we can also see in the charts if it tells us that we're going to see these extensions, or if we're going to get caught up somewhere around the highs here, the deeper retracements. And already, generally speaking, when you don't see the 618 being interacted with, you pull back from the 618, you don't see it, that's not normally a good thing. That's more bearish than it is bullish. When you don't hold your 382 level after interacting with the 618, it doesn't condemn this thing to never see extensions, but it hurts performance, that's for sure. So we could just top off here. Maybe we do break above the 100, but we top off somewhere between there and the 1272, hurting performance again, right? We absolutely could, and I still believe we'll see new all-time highs for LTCN. It just might not be anywhere near as intense as we'd given it credit for over a year ago when we weren't aware of these private placement sales being put into place. And that's why also, guys, all these just like kind of at the drop of a dime without any say at all, with just them deciding at the literally a drop of a dime when they want to start doing these private sales. I'm talking about Grayscale here. That is part of that risk factor that you play with, that you sign up for whenever you buy derivatives, whenever you don't buy the underlying asset yourself. And that's part of the reason why, and I didn't know it, right, a year and a half ago, all this time that I've been saying why I don't buy the Grayscale Trust and hold them personally. I've dabbled in them before, but not for a long time, right, just like a quick little move. And it worked out, but I got lucky. I don't know. I'm glad that I don't have any right now, but this isn't about me. What I'm trying to say is the reason why I don't invest in the trusts is because these trusts are managed by people. The underlying asset is managed by code. I trust code more than I trust people. And I think Grayscale is a trustworthy company. I think, your money's, you're going to see value with these trusts for sure. I think you're going to see it grow. But it certainly doesn't seem like they have the interests of the early round, or not even round, right? It's not a round, but the investors that got in before the bull cycle really started to kick off. They don't have your interests in mind. They don't have the interests in mind of the people who aren't available for the private placement, and that kind of, I think they've shown their colors with that. I don't know, man. I don't know their whole reasoning for it. Maybe I'm judging them in a wrong way. Maybe I'm not looking at it right, or I don't understand the full gravity of what it is that they're doing with these private placement funds. But private placement sales and then using those funds, that's what I mean. But to me, it seems pretty shitty for the average investor investing in Grayscale. It seems like it's hurting things. It definitely does seem like it's hurting things. It doesn't seem like good news to me. So diluting shares is not normally a good thing. And then having not only diluted shares, but a time lock 6 months from now that will literally, no way it won't be a sell the news kind of event, that it won't sell off. Anytime there's an unlock with anything, people sell, right? No matter how much sense it makes or doesn't make, people sell. It just always happens. There's never going to be a situation where it doesn't happen. It's just like some people, it's just a rule of thumb, right? They're buying at NAV price. Whenever it unlocks, it will be at a higher price likely than they bought for, right? It'll be at a premium. They can just sell and get out. All they had to do is wait 6 months. That's good enough for them. They don't have to think more about it than that, right? So I'm going off on all kinds of tangents here, guys. But long story short, yes, Mark. I think that if there are 2 to 3 more private sales, and already having 2 this year, I think, yes, it will hurt performance. Absolutely, I do. Unless they're literally using those funds to buy back the crypto and add it to their trust, unless they're doing something like that, when I say they, I mean Grayscale, I don't see a scenario where this is a good thing for the trust, personally. And that doesn't mean they can't grow. I think they will. But what were higher aspirations are now kind of out of sight, out of mind, not necessarily as possible. Again, unless you hear some good news, like or you see it in their ratios that they're adding to the trust. Pay attention to this stuff, right? See if that number's going down, if that number's going up. Because if this number is going down, I'm pretty sure that means they're taking Bitcoin Cash out of the trust or diluting shares, which is bad. If it's going up, that means they're adding more Bitcoin Cash per share. And I just want to make sure I'm doing that math in my head correctly, right? Because if it's Bitcoin Cash per share, if I had this many Bitcoin Cashes, if I add more, yeah, then it's exactly what I was saying. Yes, yeah. It's exactly how I was saying it. If this number goes up, good. If the number goes down, bad. For the investor, for the people already invested, at least in my opinion. But again, I'm not an economist. I don't know. Maybe there's a good thing about it going down. Maybe there's something good about diluting the shares. Maybe they've got something going on with these funds that we're just not aware of, and it's in good money. Maybe they're not being shady Wall Street people, but that, I don't know. And maybe they're not shady. They address it. They let you know when it's going to happen, but you just don't have a say in it. It doesn't seem to me, again, I'm so hung up on this because I really feel for all the Grayscale investors out there. Like this, you didn't buy this trust at this price, XYZ, whatever prices you've been buying it at, just so it could be offered to people or companies or entities that have more capital at their disposal for a cheaper price, right? You have to buy it at the market price, and they're the ones getting it in a NAV price. That's not fair, and I just don't see it being good for the price. That's what I'm so hung up on. I'm gonna move on from it there. That was a good question mark. It got me a little bit tied up there. I hope I didn't lose too many people. I don't blame you guys if I do. I'm really just sharing my opinion on this. I want to check and see if there were any other things related to BCHG and LTCN before I move on. And I'll tell you guys where I think the highs are going to be. Okay, kind of already did it with LTCN. Hold on. Making sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Looks like we went through all of it. Okay, so LTCN, where I believe it's going to go to, where I think it's, if I had to give it a likelihood of like where it's going to go to, I think it stands a decent chance of topping off in this $271 to $510 area. Yes, I think it does. But I am expecting new all-time highs this cycle. So perhaps a fib based off of this low, and I think that is your low. I don't think you're actually going to go lower than this low here. You could, and if it is lower than this low at, what is that? That low is at 925. If you do go lower than 925, these targets will change, but they line up pretty well with these fibs, right? The 1272 right at the 69. The 69 is not a fib, but it lines up with a target that is well respected nonetheless. The 1618 at the 786, the 1886 at the 886 there, right? 2272 right at the 100. It seems respected. So the 2618 double golden extension being at about $1,000, psychologically $1,000 makes sense as a nice area of resistance. You're breaking above the $100 the 100 level, the all-time high level there, which makes sense for the narrative that goes well in my head, which is that I think you will see new all-time highs. I just think the performance is going to be hurt, which is again validated by this thought that you might stop around here. This very psychological area, this 2618 strong area for resistance there, is that normally you would go to your extended levels, right? These extensions based off of this fib here, which would be these moves here. Normally you would, but because of the private placement sales, maybe you just don't have enough gas in the tank. The gas has been siphoned off and put into the wealthier people's tank, and we love our wealthy friends. We do. We've all got at least one wealthy friend right now, but we've, like there's no wealth shaming at all for any of that. But fact of the matter is, the people who are participating in these private placement sales, and maybe some of them deserve shame, maybe some of them are bad. I don't know them, man. I don't know. I'm just saying they are part of the reason why there's going to be added selling pressure at lower prices, preventing you from getting to higher prices that you might normally get to, and why we might see the 2618 play out. So for Litecoin, for LTCN, end of cycle predictions, whoever it was that requested that, my guess is adjusted. I would say around $1,000. That's my thoughts. You're at $10 now, 100x, still possible. Not too bad this late in the cycle. When will that happen? I can hear you asking it. My goodness. Quiet down over there, okay? It's nighttime. I got a baby sleeping over here. She's 2 years old. She's not a baby anymore. She's a toddler. I want to put this back on. High. No. It wasn't that high. It was this high to this low. This high to this low. Okay, so we got the 2618 right there. Right about there, yeah. Okay. And when is the question? So I think LTC, BCH, most of the cryptos, right? I think they're going to top off in October of next year. It could be earlier. Based off of what we saw last time, right? This thing topped off in November of 2020. Bitcoin Cash itself topped off in May of 2021. So it topped off 5 months prior, right? Or is that, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months prior. 6 months prior. October, 6 months from October, is that April? That is April. So it could be as early as April. Which would then imply you're going to see something like this, right? Absolutely nuts and bananas. But here's the thing, to chill anybody who's thinking that, first off, doesn't mean you have to achieve it right here. It could be sometime in this range. And I would think that based off of what we saw last time, being that it was 6 months earlier, right? This peak happened 6 months earlier than the peak of the underlying asset did. I'm assuming this time that it's actually going to be closer. It's not going to be 6 months. It might be 5 months or 4 months or less. It might even be 1 month before. So you really could go deeper into this. This incline doesn't have to be that intense. It'll still be intense. It's still very intense. Don't get me wrong either way. But second to that, wherever it is, it could even be here, right? It could be the earliest. It could be April whenever we see this. The reason why I still think something like that is even possible is that this is crypto, you guys. This is insane, crazy times right now. We're about to get to the last phase of the bull market when things just go berserk, things go bananas. So if you thought this was strong, it's only going to get stronger. It's only going to get stronger. So absolutely, I would say somewhere between April to October of next year. It could be October, because what if Bitcoin Cash doesn't top off in October? What if it tops off in December or something? I think this is a fine window right here. Sometime next year, April to October, that's when you'll be at your high, okay? If we are only here, we're only at this level, and it's April next year, that could be a sign that we have a little bit more time to go in the cycle. If it's sometime in this bubble and we're only there, it might be a sign that, hey, maybe this is not on the table. Maybe this is wrong. I'm making a call right now that is over half a year out, potentially more than a full year away, right? If it hits the end of this range, I can be wrong. C-Zar is not a prophet. He doesn't know everything. So if we're here, but in our bubble, in our box here, if we're in the bubble, but in the box, if the bubble's in the box, we put our bubble in the box, then maybe it's time to rethink the strategy of higher prices. Oh no, boo-hoo, you don't get a $1,000 price. But hey, you still get like a 30x, a 40x, right, from here. And in probably what would be like a very short amount of time. So relatively speaking, that kind of gains in a year or less than a year, you can boohoo yourself. You can wipe your nose or blow your nose with $100 bills if you're that upset about it, right? You put $100 in right there, a 35x, that's is that $3,500? Is that what that would be? That's what that would be, yeah. It's not bad in a short amount of time, too. Anyways, guys, I'm getting all caught up there. I hope that makes sense for LTCN. I hope that I did things right. I'm a little bit all over the place right now, as you can probably tell through this video, but we're having fun, right? I'm having fun. I feel like I'm just chilling. 457 is the price for BCHG. Looking like it wants to move down. It looked like it really looks pretty bad, honestly. But you had a very nice V-shaped recovery. I would say your V, it's debatable, but I would say, you could say it started all the way up here, but V's are so weird. Oftentimes you don't really truly know where it formed until you get like the aftermath. I would say the V formed here and you broke through it, right? Because oftentimes with your V-shaped recoveries, you finish above where it started. And you can make the argument that it started over here. Absolutely you could, but it could have started there, it could have started there, it could have started here. Like it could have, it's V-shaped recoveries are kind of hard in that sense, but that's just how I think about them. Anyways, hold on. Anyways, definitely a pullback from this V-shaped recovery. Of course, it's intense because that is some intense price action to the upside there. You're right at your 382. Beautiful area to find support. Oftentimes on a strong move, and I know I was saying it looks bad, right? And I meant that, right? Just like this, it looks bad right now. This looks really good. This looks really good. Oftentimes in a strong move, okay, you pull right back to the 382, and that's it. That's it, man. And then you go higher. BCHG is involved in these private placement sales. It is not absolved of the same unfortunate fate that LTCN is facing, and probably a lot of the Grayscale Trust, right? Again, unless I'm missing something, which I could be missing something. There could be some underlying fundamental thing that they're doing with these funds from the private placement sales that adds to the value of the trust. It could happen. I don't know. It would make sense that it would happen, right? They're business people. They want to see their business do good. But the the more I look at it from an honest scope within my own self, I don't see these private placement sales as being good for you, the average investor, or even for you, the people who, maybe you didn't invest in a private placement sale, but you're available. Maybe you're like above the average investor. For anybody invested in these trusts, I guess I don't see these things being good, is what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say beyond that, though, is that we are finding support at the 382. Pulled back on a very strong move. This is absolutely a strong move from December 2022 to April of 2024. You saw a 75x. That is a powerful move. Pulling back to your 382, finding support there. Classic endeavor. Hopefully you do find support. Hopefully you bounce right off this area. I don't want to see you go any lower, kind of like LTCN, right? And if you do, if this is your low, then your next target area would be somewhere around 37.53 to 67.10. And absolutely, I would expect deeper extensions past that, right? So something perhaps, again, just like with LTCN, perhaps not your general expected areas like 250 to 1500, perhaps something around $67 or $200 itself, something like that could be in play. I could see BCHG going all the way up to maybe like 359. I could see that happening, but I don't know if these prices at $500 or higher are on the table anymore, right? And it depends. These fibs, again, they exist for a reason. It could happen. Absolutely, you could still, and same thing for LTCN. Absolutely, you could still see an over $2,000 price, an over $5,000 price. It could happen. For BCHG, absolutely, you could see an over $500, $530 price, even a $1,500 price. It could happen. My view is just that of a little bit more skeptical toward those prices, right? I've never been skeptical for any reason, right? This is not something that I just like at the drop of a dime decided, you know what? I don't see this happening anymore, so I'm going to switch my opinion. No, this is something based off of a very fundamental thing that I think is taking away from the potential of what these trusts could do. Okay, that's just generally all back to the private placement sales, all back to Mark's comment there, right? That's what this is all in regards to. So yes, I think 359. That's probably even more bullish than Litecoin, to be completely fair, because it's actually going into its expected zone a little bit there. But it does have a more bullish pattern. It's seen more growth overall, and it's at a pretty nice area to bounce from its current price all the way up there. I mean, we're talking like a 78x, so that's nice. A little bit of like a tit for tat move like it just went through, and that could make sense too. You can see like an ABC kind of move up here, like a 1 2 3. Maybe it's not an ABC, maybe they call it a 1 2 3 or an XYZ. I forget whatever it is, that it's like you get like one move up, the correction in the middle, and then a mimicked move, a very similar move to the upside again. But perhaps you only see a 14x, in which case boohoo, 14x. And that probably happened in a very short amount of time, but that's still decent gains in a short amount of time. I guess I would say I see more potential growth-wise in the fibs on BCHG, but I see more potential growth-wise on a percentage basis in LTCN, I guess, is what I'm seeing here. And that doesn't make sense to me, because I think BCH itself will grow more than LTC, but maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe LTCN is just hurt much more than BCHG is. I don't know, but these are the targets we're getting, right? Anyways, I don't think it'll stop at 67.10. I absolutely do believe you'll see at least $200 by the end of this cycle, but I would love it if I'm wrong. And as time goes on, we'll know better, right? And I would give it the same. I'm not doing the time analysis because I'd give it the same thing as LTC, right? Between April and October, okay? When's it going to get there? When's it going to get to this 360 area? Between April and October of next year. Okay, that's my thoughts, right? But again, it could go higher. And what will help, or maybe it doesn't go that high, what will help with that is just time itself, right? What are we going to look like in this February, March, April time of next year? What are we going to look like there? Are we going to be at this price? Are we going to be all the way up here? Like, are we still down here? Like, what's it going to look like? That'll, as time goes on, we'll have a more clear picture, right? We're still 6-7 months, maybe more. I don't know. It's September. It's the 9th of September right now. So basically all of September. October, November, December, January, February, March, April. It's like 8 months, if not at least 7.5 months away, right? So that's a lot of time. As time goes on, even 3.5 months goes on from now, we'll have a better idea of what to expect. So anyways, guys, before I just keep talking and rambling without anything else to say, I guess that's it. Yeah, I'm expecting BCHG to find support here. I think BCH found its low, and I think it's going to catch wind with BCHG itself. Bullish divergence. That would call for a move at least back up to $6.08. You're at $4.57 now. Perfect time to get in. Prices below $5 are not going to be long-lived, guys. It's a good time to get in. And don't take to heart too strongly the words or the analysis that I did that gave us a reason to believe that BCHG performs less than LTCN does from here on out. That to me doesn't make sense. I personally see LTCN performing in still good. I think it's going to perform better than it has this whole cycle. Like really, since anything before this correction to the downside, and it's going to be better than anything before then. But I don't see it outperforming BCHG personally. I personally don't see that. So maybe my targets for LTCN are skewed, or maybe my targets for BCHG are skewed, or maybe my opinion's skewed. Maybe LTCN does grow more than BCHG. All I'm trying to say is don't take my comments in regards to that as a fact. It's literally an opinion, okay? I can be wrong. I can absolutely be wrong. So LTCN, BCHG, that's been the question for the past like year and a half, 2 years almost, right? Which one's going to do better? I don't know, right? It's probably best to have both, but if I was invested in either of them, I'd probably just invest in BCHG personally because I like Bitcoin Cash more, but I wouldn't invest in either of them personally, at least for a long-term investment, because I don't trust human beings. I trust code. I feel more secure investing in the underlying asset than I do in any derivative for any kind of investment that I'm making, right? That doesn't demean the value of these trusts. I think that they have a lot of value to gain. I think you'll see more value growth with the trust than the underlying assets. But the risk that's there, the reason why I don't invest is because there's an added layer of risk there with people, right? If you're got a pretzel in your head because it's like I'm saying one thing and then saying another, everything I'm saying I full-heartedly mean. It's 100% true. It's just, and I do think the trusts are going to do better than the underlying assets, but it's not enough for me because I think that there is that added, why add risk to it to get more money when the underlying asset, for me, how I see it, is going to do just fine. It's not going to do as well as the trust probably, and I accept that, but it's going to do well, and I own the underlying asset, right? Grayscale doesn't, right? I don't, and that's where the underlying asset can't private placement sale. That can't happen. It just won't happen, right? These guys can do it whenever they want to, right? And they might have a schedule right now, like Mark was saying. Again, I would encourage anybody to look into that. Look in the comments below. I'm sure somebody who has knowledge on that can provide more information as well. And I encourage anybody who would like to leave a comment with more information on that to do so. Help educate other people too. But what was I going to say, man? I'm forgetting what I was going to say. I guess with that, I'll leave you guys. It felt like it was somewhat important, but it's probably not that important. I'd like to see LTCN and BCHG hold these areas. I'd like to see them move up. It would make more sense from BCHG's perspective to hold these areas. In my opinion, it definitely makes more sense. LTCN, it doesn't make as much sense, but the thing that's given me the most hope that LTCN holds its area is LTC itself. LTC looks like if it moves down, it's not going to be significant, like 4 to 5% at the most probably, and that wouldn't be enough for LTCN to reach to its 618. So I don't see LTCN taking out its low. I don't see BCHG taking out its low. I think it's a good time to accumulate both. I think they're going to move up. And I don't remember what I was going to say there, but it was something probably about owning the underlying asset versus owning the derivatives. I don't know. It's always more profitable to own the derivative. It's always more secure to own the underlying asset. If you're investing for the long term with money that matters to you, it's probably best to be secure. But as an investor, getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that, it's never a bad thing either. So anyways, guys, I don't know. I'm done with this video. It's gone on long enough. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate everybody for asking. I hope I answered all your questions. Absolutely, I believe that all of these trusts are going to see new all-time highs. When I say all of them, I mean the ones that we're not going over even here, right? They're all going to see new all-time highs by the end of this cycle. I do believe that they are held back a little bit, right? Right. And I wonder, Somebody let me know. Did ETCG, was that part of the private placements? I don't think it was. That could be a reason for ETCG to go up. Maybe. Or just like perform better. Maybe. I don't know. But it's underperformed this whole cycle. Normally things that underperform throughout the majority of the bull cycle, they don't all of a sudden start overperforming. Most of the time. Most of the time doesn't mean all the time, right? But I don't know, guys. I'm going off on a whole another tangent there. Don't think too much into that. Maybe look into it if you want to think into it. But anyways, that's all I got. Bye bye. See you on the next one. Take care.